So in the last video we constructed a major chord. And just as a side note, a chord with 3 notes in it is called a triad. So we actually constructed a major triad. Okay, so we'll put that down. We're gonna put some information down that we had in the last video. For example, in this major triad, there were 3 notes. It's a triad. There was the 1, the 3, and the 5. Okay? And that kind of looks awkward. We'll just put this up like this. There was the 1, the 3, and the 5. And there were intervals in between here. The distance in between the first and the third note was what? A major third. The distance in between the third and the fifth was a minor third. Okay? And as our example, we figured out that the first note, if the first note was C, the next note would be E, and the note after that would be a G. Okay, so this is our C major triad, C major chord. And there are 3 other types of triads that we're going to go over in this video. And all you have to do is kind of tweak this a little bit to get the other triads. You'll see what I'm talking about, but right now I'm going to do this for you. So this was the C major triad that we had before. The next type of triad that we're going to go over is the minor triad. And I want you to write these down because I'm going to be erasing this side of the board. I'm going to keep the major one, but I'm going to erase this side. Okay, so the minor triad is made up of, again, the first, the third, and the fifth. The 1, the 3, and the 5. But we tweak it a little bit. We flat the third. The third is flatted. What does flat mean? Well, it means they take the third note, the third, which is E, and they make it a flat. So they take this E and they bring it down a semitone, which means this E becomes an E flat. So instead of C, E, G, it becomes a C, E flat, G. This, in turn, affects what happens here with the intervals. Because you see, when you bring this down, I'm going to erase this real quick and bring this over here. This is now your minor chord. And if we bring this down, then the distance in between here is different, right? It goes from C. How many semitones from C to E flat? 1, 2, 3. And what did we say that 3 semitones were? A minor third. So between the 1 and the flatted third, there's a minor third interval in between there. Now, because this went this way, that widens this interval a little bit. What's the distance between E flat and G? How many semitones? 1, 2, 3, 4 semitones from E flat to G. 4 semitones was what? A major third. Okay, see what happened there? All we had to do, the only difference between a major triad and a minor triad is a flat third. That's all you have to do. And actually, that difference goes a long way. I'll play a major chord first on my guitar. This is a major chord, so I'll play it down here. That's a major chord, and this is a minor chord. This is the note I'm flatting. Oops. So this is your major chord. The note that I'm flatting is up here. Ready? This is the flatted note. And that's your minor chord. Big difference, huh? Major, minor. Big difference. Just one note changes that whole kind of feeling there. Alright, now there's two other types of triads. So I'm going to erase this side. We're going to keep the major one because that's the important side that we're going to relate everything to. The next one is called, and we're going to get rid of this too. Right back here. The next one is called a diminished Diminished triad. Diminished triad, long name. Now this one is, again, based on the 1, the 3, and the 5. So we have a C, E, and G. E, and G. But this time, we're going to flat the 3, and we're going to flat the 5. Alright? So this time we're going to do it both times. Now, so this time, so these both of these notes change. This E is now what? An E flat again. And this G is now a G flat. Okay, so now we have an E flat and a G flat. What's the interval in between a 1 and the flat 3? Well, it's the same that we did with the minor, right? From 1 to 3. That's 1, 2, 3 semitones from C to E flat. So that's just a minor third. And then how many semitones from the flat 3 to the flat 5? From the E flat to the G flat? Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3 semitones. That's a minor third. So in the diminished triad, both these intervals are the same. Minor third, minor third. You have to go from a minor third, or you have to go from the 1, a minor third up to get the next note of the diminished triad, and then another minor third up to get the flat 5, the G flat there. So I'm just going to play a diminished chord for you real quick. So this is your major chord. That's your major chord. And then this is your diminished chord. Difference in that, huh? This is kind of, it's hard to listen to alone. But when you put it in context, that's why it's important. From diminished to the major. Okay, so just a tip. Later on in your musical career, you can use diminished chords too. Okay, so that's a diminished chord. The next one is called an augmented chord. And this is your last triad that you need to know. At least now. An augmented triad. So again, we start with the 1, 3, and 5. 1, 3, and 5. So that's C, E, and G. But this time, you don't change the 1. You never change the 1 because that's your root note. You don't change the 3 this time, but you're going to sharp the 5. What happens when you sharp the 5? I'm just going to move these over real quick. We have an E again. But this time we sharp the 5. The 5 was G, but now it's going to be a G sharp. What happens when you sharp the 5? You just bring it up 1 semitone. So from G, you sharp it, and it's going to be a G sharp. What's the distance in between the 1 and the 3? Well, it's the same distance from in the major triad. It's just a major third. Major third. And then what's the distance between the third and the sharp 5? Well, we go from E, right? That's our E. We're going to go up by semitones. So we're just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 semitones from E to G sharp. And we get a major third. That's the same thing as a major third. So an augmented triad is built off of major thirds. So I'll play a major chord for you, a major triad real quick. We'll start with the C. That's the C major. And then the C augmented is like that. Okay, so it's like that. And you can resolve it back to, you can play an augmented chord and then play the major chord. And it can resolve like that. So that's just a way to use augmented chords. But anyway, and oh, actually that wasn't an augmented chord. This is an augmented chord. There we go. So you keep the third. This was the third. I was sharpening it by mistake. There we go. So those are the 3 types of triads that you're gonna come across. In the next video, we're gonna go over the symbols for these and how to name your chords. Okay, so thanks for watching. Please stay tuned for the next video. I hope that didn't confuse you too much. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments or message me on YouTube. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.